Welcome back, CSC230, to part 3 of our ex2 lists and links CSS, and we're working on our ex1 file. That's why it says ex1 here. And looking at this, we're going to wrap things up a little, and a couple things I'm going to do. I want to make this a little darker. I think it looks still a little too electric compared to the picture here. It doesn't really flow. It's not really unified with this color, so I might mute this down just a little bit, maybe darker, a little less saturated. And these things still look big. For some reason, my H2s are looking giant for some reason, and I had to make this bigger. I think what I'm going to do is put everything in a sans serif, make these a little bit smaller, and then have this really stand out in a serif font, maybe like Georgia or something like that. Georgia Bold really stands out nice. So this title really stands out, and I want to de-emphasize these a little bit. These, instead of black, I might even put them in kind of a dark brown, something like the trees. Pull something out of the trees a little bit. This could be maybe a little bit lighter still, pulling out from these colors in the trees a little bit, so I might want to just tone that down slightly. And then whatever color I use here, I think I'm going to put a box down at the bottom around the footer and make like a little bounding box at the bottom. Maybe I'll put the text in white and just put a dark blue at the bottom just to add some balance at the bottom and add some solidity at the bottom to kind of finish it off. So I think that's all we'll do here, and then I'll go over submitting it. So this shouldn't take as long as the first two videos to do this. So the first thing I'll do is darken this up a little bit. So I'll go back here, and that was the H1, and I'll also adjust the font too. But actually, before I do that, since I'm adjusting all the fonts, I'm going to go to this footer and take this font family and highlight this, and I'm going to put it for the body so that all the fonts for the body are going to be in that. And I'll put it before font size. I'll choose the font before the font size. It doesn't matter, but it just seems like that would be better. So I'll do that, and I'll go here and refresh it. And you can see everything looks bigger now. So because of that, I think I'm going to take away this font size 110. When you put it in a sans serif font, it's a little bit bigger, or because of the lowercase letters have a higher X height and typography, they just take up more space, so they look bigger. So I'm going to delete that and get rid of that font size and refresh that and see how it looks. Now, this looks a little crowded, so I'm going to spread out this and this. I'm going to spread out something called line height and maybe add it like 110% or something like that. And then these things look a little big. I might take these down. I'm still not sure why the H2s look so big. I could just put them in an H3. That would be one thing that could take them down, so I could do that. But I think I'm going to put line spacing in this paragraph and also the OL. To do that, what can I target here? Let's look at our index. We do have a paragraph in here, and we have the P in section, and then we have the OL and the UL in section. So there's different ways we could do it. I think I'm going to do line height. Well, let's see what happens here, because line height is usually like in here like a paragraph. Now these are separate line items, so I'm not sure if it'll be better to do it to the line items. Let's do it to the P and the LIs. These are LIs inside the unordered list, and this is LIs inside the ordered list, and this is P. Now they're all inside sections, so let's see if we can do this. I'm going to go back to my style.css, and I'm going to go to section, and I'm going to put it in here, and section is like the parent of anything that's inside it. So I'm going to put section, I'm going to put the parent, and then I'm going to put P, and then I'm going to put comma LI. So what that should target is the P's and the LIs inside of section. Both. So commas mean both. So comma means both the P and the LI. But when there's a space here between section and P, that means inside. That means it's a child. So I'm going to do the P inside there. Also, I just want to mention, because I realized when I was editing the videos, these things are called selectors. I know I say target, but target is like the verb, because we're targeting H1, we're targeting H2, we're targeting section, but this element itself is called the selector. So we're selecting that. So we're selecting the child P inside of section. We're selecting the child LIs that are inside of section, and that space means that it's inside of. And an arrow means a direct descendant of. So I think we can just leave a space there for now, but let's put something in there. Let's just put line height. So I'm going to choose line height, and there it is, and I'll just use a percent like 120%. I'll see how that looks. just see what happens here and see if that targets the right thing, that it's not the list, that it'll actually target the LIs. So let me see what happens here. So it should spread out this and it should spread out these. Let's see what happens. And it only did a little bit. Let me do it more. Let me do like 150 and see what happens. Because I did see it move. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Actually, I like that. Maybe it could be 140. And that's good. I think 140 is good like that. Now, that stayed the same down there, so that's good. So I like that. I think that looks okay. These things could be a little smaller. Let me just see if I go into the... Now, I already have targeting H2 and everything like that. Let me target H2 and see if I can make it a little smaller for some reason. I'm going to target H2 and just put font size. Now, we made everything 110, and then we didn't. So let me just put 100% and see what it does. I just want to see what it does, because the headers sometimes are different than their body copy. So if I just put 100%, let me see what happens here. And that made them real small, so that actually kept them there. So let me try like 120 and see what that looks like. Now we're kind of doing guesswork here. And that looks okay. That's actually what I want. And what I want for this, well, actually, while I'm on this, while I'm on the H2s, let me do this. Let me put a color, and I'll just put color. And I'll choose a brown, and I'll put a semicolon, and I'll hover over here. Now, I don't want a brown like that. Actually, I want something, I'll go into the oranges here. I want something really really neutral. So I'm going to do something like the tree branches. So it's really something like that. So it doesn't have any warmth to it all. So that's why I'm moving over here. Kind of grayish, real grayish brown. And let's see what that looks like. And it just kind of softens it up a little. And it goes better with this background. So I like that. I think that looks okay. I guess it kind of goes with that. It could be even a little darker, but that's fine. And this, I want a darker blue, and I want a font. And then we could even put a little space below. So there's a little separation between that heading and the paragraph below it. So let's do that. Let's target the H1. So first of all, the color, remember, hover over here. I always forget to do that. And I want it darker and less saturated, something like that, a little more slate bluish. And I'll try that and refresh it. And that's a little too much. So I'll go in here just a little bit, give it a little more blue. And that doesn't look a whole lot different, so let me give it more. And I think that's okay, although I'm not seeing it change. All right, it's so subtle, I'm not really seeing it change, but I like it better. And then I'm going to use this color as kind of a box around the bottom. And we might put less space. If it's sitting in a box, it'll be set off on its own, so it doesn't need as much space on the bottom. And also, I want to change this font. So I'm going to go in here and put font family, and I'm going to just put G, and Georgia comes up here, and that's actually what I want, Georgia. And notice that if you have multiple words, you have to put a quote around it, so Times New Roman, and I guess that's all I really need. That's fine. And it has serif at the end, so that's perfect. And I'll just use that. And because it's an H1, it should be bold anyway, so I don't have to put bold. And I might want to make it a little bit bigger. And I guess at this point I might as well make it 200% after all that. 200. And that's fine. That looks good. That really stands out as a heading. It even creates a little bit of space, but I might even create a little bit more, and that would be something just like, I'll use margin. I've been using padding, but I'll use margin bottom. And I'll just put like 4px. And that just separates it a little. So that looks okay. And these look okay. They got separated. That color's okay. And I could use this color at the bottom, or I could use the blue. So let's try it out. So that's going to be in the footer. So let's deal with the footer down here. We're going to give a background color. And if you need to use the other blue from the H1, wherever that is, here it is, I'll take that and I'll just copy it. And I'll put it here. And I don't want the color part, so let me get rid of the color part. And I think that looks okay. I mean, the code looks okay, but let me go here and see what this looks like. And that's okay. And let me just look at it a little bit. You can see we're going to need more space on the top. So we're going to need even space on the top, and we're going to need to make it white. And I think we're going to have less space on the bottom. So we'll take away that, whatever that is, 24, and put some space on the top. So what did we have here? Remember, this is trouble. So on the bottom, we had 16. So I might even go down and make it 12. We want to keep 24 on the left, and maybe on the top we'll make it 12 so it's even. And then also we have to make the color of the font white so it stands out. And I'll put antique white in there. That's what we're using on the page. We'll see how that looks. And refresh it. That doesn't look bad. See, it pulls in the same color from there. So I don't know if I need a bright white. Actually, that looks pretty good at the bottom. Now I could have used this muted color as well, this color here, so that the heading really stands out. And I could just see how that looks. Now, I'll show you something here. If I put a background color after this one, it'll actually use the newest one, which is the one after it. So if I found this color of the H2 and I highlighted that and copied it, and I put it down here, and I put background, I actually have two assignments for the background color. And which one is it going to use? It's actually going to use the second one, because it's going to go through and do that, and then it's going to do that. So that way I can, if I don't like it, I could just delete it. So let's go here and see what happens. And that's not bad. It kind of pulls in some of this dark color here, and it makes the blue really stand out. I'm going to leave it like that, I think. And then it uses that again, so it repeats that color, it repeats this color up here, the blue over here. I might want to actually just mute out the blue so the blue on the side isn't so bright. So that's the last thing I think I'll do. That's for the HTML color. And I'll just hover over here and I'll just kind of make it lighter and less saturated. And refresh that. And that's actually nicer. It makes things really stand out. You'd be surprised, just a couple shades of color. And it makes the photo pop, and it makes this stuff pop just a little bit. And actually, that's not too bad. I wasn't really planning this out, but you know, if you just kind of look at the colors that are in photos and you use them, you can create a nice color scheme, a nice unity. Using the same colors all over, that's using unity. So everything's kind of working together, and it's aligned. And again, this isn't a real modern looking layout, but it's unified and it's clean, so that's a good part. And we don't have anything down here right now. I think for our other exercise 3, we'll just put an image down here. So that'll be a real quick image where we'll kind of float an image down there. We'll talk about doing that. But for this assignment, I think we're done. So we're done. Let me just look through the code. Even as you look at my code, if you need to compare anything, we have our reset, our HTML. We lighten that up a little bit. We have our body. We have 4 declarations with margin auto. And by the way, if you use margin auto, you have to have a width. Even if it's a %, you have to have that. It won't work if you don't put any width. We have a background color that's at cream color. We have a sans serif font, which is for everything now. Section just had padding around it. The section P and the section LIs, we added line height. That actually spread out the line spacing here, the line spacing here, and the line spacing there of the LIs, because these are all LIs, and of the paragraph. And they're all within section. That's how we were able to target all of those. And we have the H1. We made it big. We gave it a dark blue color. We gave it a font family of Georgia, and has margin bottom of 4. We separated from the paragraph a little bit. Our H2, for some reason we're showing up really big, but we put padding top to separate it from the paragraph above it. We adjusted the font size to get it to look right. We gave it that dark brown color so it looked more like the trees. These are the H2s. That looks okay. They could even be a little darker, but I'm not going to change anything now. And then the ordered list and unordered list. Now that's actually not in the same order that we used, and I should really do this because we used unordered list and then an ordered list, because the unordered is the bullet and the ordered is the numbered, and that's the order it goes in. Not that it matters, but that's just more consistent. So there's the unordered list, and we targeted both of them. That's why there's a comma there, and we just gave it a padding left and a padding top. and that means on top of the list, top of the whole list itself, and the padding brought this stuff over here and it aligned it with the other paragraphs that we have in here. It aligned where the padding is. So that looks okay. And like I said, we're going to put a picture in here in the next exercise. We could make this white if we want down here, or so I did it antique white, maybe just white. See if that looks better. Yeah, I just like it better a little white because it pulls out kind of the cooler white in there instead of pulling out from here. So that looks good. So we're pulling out some of the white from the snow, which is good because we have white from the snow. So why not? So that looks good. And I think everything looks okay. These links are working. We could always color links and stuff. That's more CSS, but this is good for now. I'll show you how to turn it in. Once you have this, it's good. So again, this is my footer, ordered list, unordered list, H2, H1, section, PNLI, section, body, HTML. So we didn't have a whole lot of styles going on, but we got a little introduction to CSS here, and that was our intent. And remember, we have it linked up here, link rel to styles.css, and make sure it's exactly like that. And everything looks okay so far. And if anything's not working, you got to compare it. Make sure you didn't spell something wrong. If you have winter header here and it's not showing up, also look for closing tags that aren't set. Sometimes when I see problems, people forgot to put a closing tag or one tag isn't outside the right tag. Anything like that can create problems. Just take away this. Somebody had something where it just wasn't having a closing tag there, and then it just kind of messed up things at the bottom. You see how that's messed up there, and you might think, why is it doing that? And it was simple that it was just missing a closing slash here that wasn't indicating that that section tag was closed. So just little stuff like that. You really have to go through it and troubleshoot a little bit. Now, turning this in, let me go back to MyWarren. What you're going to do is go to coursework, and that's over here, coursework, and you're going to go down to unit 2, and here's the assignment, and you could just click on it, and you don't have to copy your link again. I mean, you can. You can go here and copy this if you want, and this is the way we did it. And you can add a comment and just put a link here, paste it, choose new window, and hit save. And you could even hit return and just put completed CSS portion. And eventually you won't have to put this anymore, but you can do that. Or you could just put completed CSS portion. As long as I know to go look at it, because if I have your username from your first exercise, I'll be able to find it from this one. But it's always quicker if I go here. So if you put in a link, that's fine. I'm happy with that. And that's it. Just make sure you hit save. And that's what I'll see for ex2 listen link CSS. And once you're done here, you could close up this page. And let me just refresh this so it doesn't look the way it looked the last time I did it. And I'll close that up. And you don't have to save anything. It auto saves and you're good. So you're done with ex2 lists and links CSS.